Chairs, Nkosi Mahlangu, Your Majesties, our kings and queens, former chairperson of the National House, chairpersons and deputy chairpersons, our traditional leaders, and all traditional leaders present and those who are attending virtually. President of Condolences, and other representatives, representatives from other kingdoms, especially representatives from Lesotho, religious leaders and the comforter, the mayor of Sekhukhune district and municipality and local municipalities, and leaders of various political parties, Sechaba sa BaPedi kamoka. Realitamisha kamoka na lena, kamanyame ya maholo. Dipelo tsa rona di utlwile botlhoko kudu-kudu. Ha re kwa ditaba tsa gore kgosikgolo ya rena e re siile. Le tla ntshwarela ka hobane nako e re siile le gona moo. Ka molao re tshwanetse gore re be re le mo for 2 hours fela. Setse re fetile 2 hours ewe. Ke tla re ha ke fetsa ho bolela, I've already said that to the Queen Mother, mo mma rona. Ke tla tshwana hore ke sepele ka bana go na le meeting tse ding tse tshwanetse hore ke be ke le mo go tsona mabapi le ditaba tse dintsi le tsa di-vaccine le tsa COVID-19. It is with a deep sense of grief that we pay our last respects to Kgoshi Thulare, Victor Thulare III, the leader of this great kingdom of our BaPedi people. After many years of strife, just at the moment when harmony had returned to the BaPedi nation, the kingdom is once again engulfed by a very dark cloud. It was not long ago that the BaPedi nation welcomed the promising reign of a new leader. The passing of Kgosikgolo Thulare III, who was so youthful, so visionary, so promising, so far-sighted, and so full of life, has therefore shaken our very being. We mourn with the royal family and the entire kingdom over this great loss. Kgoshi Thulare III hails and comes from an illustrious legion of ancestors, such as the Kgoshi Thulare I, Sekwati I, and Sekhukhune I, who fought gallantly and fought successive battles and wars in defense of their people in the 19th century. Those who came before him bravely fought against colonialism, against oppression, against the theft of their land and the unjust taxation of their people without representation. It is these gallant fighters who inspired successive generations of activists from this area, women and men who dedicated their lives to the struggle for freedom in our country. The cadres established Khasikukuni as a center for rural resistance over the course of several decades and earned it a special place in the annals of the struggles of our democracy. In this distinguished cohort, we remember leaders, outstanding leaders like Elias Muswaledi, John Nkadimeng, Flag Bushielo, Godfrey Piche, and others who mobilized communities in the area against the repressive apartheid policies. The work of these freedom fighters and the influence of Khasikukuni, where we are today, extended far beyond the boundaries of this area. John Nkadimeng and Flag Bushielo, in particular, mobilized migrant workers in urban areas, especially on the Witwatersrand. These workers, in turn, sowed deep seeds of political consciousness and mass mobilization back home in the Khasikukuni area. Under the banner of organizations such as Sebata Khomu, later Feta Khomu, the people of Khasikukuni fought against Bantu authorities and against the so-called betterment schemes, which involved cattle culling and curtailment of land. Through the local bodies such as Gudutamaha, locals mounted a spirited opposition against all forms of injustice imposed by apartheid institutions. It was through the political work of committed cadres such as Peter Nchabeleng that this area became a hive of youth activism in the 1980s. Almost every village in Khasikukuni had a youth formation during that time, a sign of the determination of the people to fight for their own liberation. Therefore, Sitjhaba sa heso, any rendition of the life of Kgosikgolo Thulare III would not be complete without appreciating the special place of his kingdom in the history of the struggle in our country. In his veins, he carries the blood of resistance. His inheritance was one of tireless struggle for justice, equality, and freedom. As he is embraced by his distinguished ancestors, on this side, we are left weeping. Yes, they are there to welcome him, but we weep as he departs. We are weeping, as Maya Angelou says, for the kind words unsaid, for the long walk of prosperity promised but never taken. As government, we convey our deepest sympathies and condolences to the royal family, the BaPedi Kingdom, and the people of this province and country in general for this great loss. And we say to the family, may you find peace and calmness in these difficult days and unexpected circumstances. May you mourn the King with the serenity and the dignity he strove for in his life. But we also say we should also celebrate his life. It was a short life, but it was a life with great promise. In recognition of his status in the society, yes, we accorded King Thulare III a special official funeral category 1 and ordered that the national flags be flown at half-mast at every station from the 13th of January to this evening after the burial. While it remains our deepest wish that we could bid farewell to His Majesty in a manner befitting both his status and his person, we are constrained by the coronavirus pandemic that continues to take so many lives amongst our people. It was this pandemic that prevented my planned visit to the King and to the royal household early in January. This visit was meant to be part of the commemoration of the formation of the African National Congress on the 8th of January 1912, in which the kings and the chiefs of this country played such a central part. We have no choice to wait until this storm has passed before we can observe all the protocols and the practices that are due to a life so deserving. The time will come when we will be able to pay proper tribute to our loved ones. For now, let us be safe and save lives. This pandemic has changed so much in our lives. As we lay His Majesty to rest, the country is in the midst of a second wave of coronavirus infections, far more greater and vicious, and far more destructive than what we experienced before. Many more people are becoming infected, and many more people are needing medical care. In many parts of the country, our hospitals and clinics are overwhelmed, and our healthcare workers are under severe strain. In this province, infections, hospital admissions, and deaths are several times greater and higher than what they were during the first wave. And so, we cannot leave this place of sorrow without affirming our determination to overcome this grievous disease. We will and we must use every means available to us to save lives and to protect livelihoods. We must become even more diligent in observing the various health measures, such as avoiding closed spaces, crowded places, and unnecessary contact with others. I must commend the royal family and the organizers of this burial function, that we have limited the numbers of people who are in attendance here, and that there is distancing, and we are not in a closed space, and there is quite a lot of air coming through where we are. In the coming weeks and months, we will begin a mass vaccination program that is expected to significantly reduce infections as it reaches more and more of our people. We will also increase our efforts to rebuild our economy, restoring the jobs that have been lost, and providing support to struggling households. Kgosi e Kgolo Thulare III would have been part of this effort, working in partnership with government, with business and unions to bring investment and infrastructure to this area. As we have heard, to those who worked very closely with him, to those who were his advisors, he had a master plan to build a city in this rural area. And a lot of development had already been conceptualized. And we pay tribute to him for having been a far-sighted leader of our people here. He would have supported the mass employment programs that are now rolling out in many parts of our country, providing valuable services to our people. Kgosi Thulare set out to lead his people on a path of economic prosperity. He brought experts together to chart a new economic path for Gasikhukhune with a strong focus on youth empowerment. He used to say, "I am still young, I still have agility." With minerals and other natural resources abundant in his area, he wanted to work with the mining companies to grow the local economy and stem the tide of young people leaving this area and going to the cities. He wanted every member of his nation to benefit from all economic activities and all opportunities in this area. He set out on this journey at a difficult time. The effects of the pandemic have placed many businesses under stress, including the mines in this area as well, resulting in job losses and hurting local businesses. It is under these conditions that we must continue his work. Communities rise on the back of their local resources, on their ingenuity, on their hard work. And so must it be for the BaPedi people. At the onset of his reign, he declared himself a sworn enemy of corruption, which he knew deprives his people of the resources that are rightfully theirs. Many of the struggles of the youth in the apartheid era were about how local resources were abused by authorities. This makes corruption in our municipalities and traditional authorities even more painful. It is an affront to the youth and to the nation at large. Through the Kgosi Thulare III Foundation, His Majesty sought to form strong partnerships to develop the skills among the youth and to restore the land rights, the culture, the traditions, and the heritage of his people. He wanted people to have clean water as well as basic services. He wanted his people to live lives free of crime, gender-based violence, and corruption. His desire was to be a firm partner to government and an unwavering champion of the needs of his people. Fellow mourners, we have lost a measured voice of reason, a shining example of traditional leadership. When he was officially recognized, Kgosi Thulare shared his aspiration for the peace and the unity of his kingdom, so that they could collectively chart a new path of reconciliation after the many years of strife that engulfed this kingdom. He wanted to see development and prosperity for the people in this area. In fact, even before ascending to the throne, he preached unity, which he said was a fitting gift to the ancestors who bequeathed this generation this vast land. Let his dreams not die with him. Let us not bury the vision that he had with him. Let the unity that he championed live well beyond his brief but promising life and promising reign. May all his economic initiatives be sustained and carried forward. May they become his legacy, and may they build the just and prosperous BaPedi nation of which he dreamt. Even as the dark clouds have descended on this kingdom, even as we bear the pain of this great loss, we should not despair and we should not lose hope. As the sun has always risen on the BaPedi, so shall it rise again. And it will continue to shine on the BaPedi people. Re re bana ba ha Thulare ka moka, re kgopela gore le gomotsege. Yena kgosi ya rona e kgolo a robale ka kgotso. And as he goes to meet his ancestors, we know that we will continue the work that he has started. A robale ka kgotso. I thank you.